God of presence and strength, help us feel you here with us when we are anxious and afraid, when the future feels unwieldy and uncertain. We know nothing is unknown in you. Oh God, we know you are our rock and our comfort. In times of trouble, give us wisdom and courage to make challenges that will help things get better. Amen.
A reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 3. Moses was keeping the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. He led his flock beyond the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of God. There, the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire out of a bush. He looked, and the bush was blazing, yet it was not consumed. Then Moses said, I must turn aside and look at this great sight and see why this bush is not burned up. When the Lord saw that he had turned aside to see, God called to him out of the bush, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Come no closer. Remove the sandals from your feet, for the place on which you are standing is holy ground. He said further, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look at God. Then the Lord said, I have observed the misery of my people who are in Egypt. I have heard their cry on account of their taskmasters. Indeed, I know their suffering, and I have come down to deliver them from the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey, to a country of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. The cry of the Israelites has now come to me. I have also seen how the Egyptians oppress them. So come, I will send you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But Moses said to God, Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? He said, I will be with you. And this shall be the sign for you that it is I who sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you shall worship God on this mountain. But Moses said to God, If I come to the Israelites and say to them, The God of your ancestors has sent me to you, and they ask me, What is his name? What shall I say to them? And God said to Moses, I am who I am. He said further, Thus you shall say to the Israelites, I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, Thus you shall say to the Israelites, The Lord, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this my title for all generations. Hear what the Spirit is saying to the church. Thanks be to God. Hello, beloved community. I am the Reverend Catherine Britton, minister at Sylvan United Church and Camp Pringle, and I am talking to you from the sanctuary at Sylvan, and it is evening. It is quiet here, so I came to record the sermon. One of the wonderful things that Sylvan does is we have this quarterly magazine called Celebrating Around. And, 4 times a year, the wonderful, dedicated group of editors and assemblers and faithful put together a collection of writings and poetry and thoughts and pictures all around a theme. This is the latest one on sanctuary, and you can find it up on our website for an online version. And I got the email saying that the theme for the upcoming one is identity. And I thought, wow, there is so much in that. And so I started to write something, and maybe I will actually get in and on time for the deadline. But I also thought, there's a sermon here. There is a sermon on identity and what it means for us in this time. And then I thought of the story of Moses, the call of Moses. And one of the amazing things about this story, after Moses has seen this amazing burning bush, and God speaks to him and says, take off your shoes, you're on holy ground, and that I have chosen you, Moses, to take my people out of slavery, to free them from the Egyptians and bring them to the promised land. And the first thing that Moses asks is, by what name shall I call you? What name do I give the Israelites for the God who has sent me on this mission? Moses wanted to know God's identity. And this is important since Moses was a person who lived by multiple identities. He wasn't even supposed to be alive. The Pharaoh had ordered that all of the male children be killed by the midwives as the mothers were giving birth. And the midwives, they subverted this by saying, well, these Hebrew women, they are so strong that they call us, and by the time we get there, baby's already been born. So we can't possibly carry out Pharaoh's orders. So Pharaoh orders all of the male children killed, and Moses' mother and sister conspire to smuggle the baby to safety. They put him in the river in this basket woven out of reeds, and they send him off where Pharaoh's daughter found him and brought him to the palace to raise herself with this handy wet nurse that just happens to be, right there at the time, Moses' mother, to feed and care for him. So already Moses is labeled. He's outlaw, he's orphan, he's adopted, he's royalty, he's slave. All of these are part of Moses' identity. His nanny was his mother, and his adoptive mother was the daughter of the king who enslaved his people. And when he saw one of the overseers beating a slave, Moses kills him and adds another layer of outlaw. So he was living this life of ease and privilege and luxury, and now he's living as an outlaw, caring for his father-in-law's sheep, when a burning bush announces that it's God, and then tells Moses to go set the Hebrews free. And Moses asks, who are you? What name do I tell the people? What name do I tell Pharaoh when I bring this message to him? And this is not such an odd question in Egypt. There were a lot of gods, so it was kind of a test. It would be Moses' test by the people. Whose authority, whose God are you bringing us out of Egypt for? And God's response, I am who I am. Tell them that I am sent you. I am. I am. Now, if somebody asks you who you are, how would you answer that? What is your identity? How do you identify yourself? Are you your occupation? Are you your job? I am a minister. That always gets a "you're a what" response when I tell people the first time, and unless I'm actually wearing the collar, and people don't quite believe when I say I'm a United Church minister. They're like, "You're a what?" So are you your occupation? Are you your relationships? I am a mother, a wife, a daughter, a sister, a cousin, a friend. Does your identity sit in your appearance? I am white, I am privileged, I am middle-aged, middle class, I'm housed, I'm Anglo, I'm cisgendered. Does your identity rest in your affiliations? I am a socialist, I am United Church, I am Christian. Does your identity lie in how others see you? I am an ENFP, a 3 on the Enneagram, whatever latest personality type is in vogue. Does that identify you? Or does it lie in geography? I am Canadian, I am British Columbian, I am an islander. Or does it lie in how you're doing? I am confident. I am worried. I am scared. I am tired. Identity, it's a complex and complicated thing. Can any of us ever be simply one thing? Can anyone other than God, or maybe a preschooler, simply say, I am? And this is part of what's making the COVID-19 restrictions that we're in right now so very difficult. If we identify ourselves by our occupation, by our job, and we can't go to work anymore, or work looks very different, or we don't have a job at all anymore, or just going to work brings fear and risk because we're in a job that exposes us to people who might have a virus that'll make us sick or worse. How does that affect our identity? If we define ourselves by our relationships and we can't be with the people we love, grandchildren, grandparents, parents, people in other parts of the province or the country or the world, how does that affect us? If we define ourselves by geography, but we move by choice or because you need to flee for your life, how does that affect your identity? So much woven together in this one little word, identity, and so much of it is being challenged. How do we be the church when everything we've identified with being church we can't do anymore? We can't sing, we can't gather, we can't eat together. We can't have our fundraisers and our spring fling and our raspberry tea and our bake sales and all the things that we just gather and do. We can't even have coffee hour after worship. So if all of these things that help identify us are taken away, how does that leave us? It's no wonder that we're all facing this kind of existential angst at this time. But how would it make a difference if your identity primarily rested in the fact that you are a beloved child of God? You are a beloved child of God, just as you are. In all those layers of identity and all of the confusion and the discombobulation, at the heart, you are a beloved child of the great I am. And so is everybody else. So is everybody else. How would it shift our priority of how we identify if first and foremost at our core we identified as being a beloved child of God? If first and foremost we saw in every person we met, we identified them as a beloved child of God? How would that change all of our other ordering of what's important for identity? God said, I am who I am. Tell them, I am sent you. Pretty powerful stuff. So, my friends, I am so looking forward to the next Celebrating Around and reading all of your thoughts and wonderings and poetry and prose and stories and pictures about identity. Because it's only when we put all of these layers together that we see the whole. We see the whole. I think I will wrap up this sermon by inviting us to join together in saying the United Church Creed that starts with, we are. Please join with me if you know the words. We are not alone. We live in God's world. We believe in God who has created and is creating, who has come in Jesus, the Word made flesh, to reconcile and make new, who works in us and others by the Spirit. We trust in God. We are called to be the church, to celebrate God's presence, to live with respect in creation, to love and serve others, to seek justice and resist evil, to proclaim Jesus, crucified and risen, our judge and our hope. In life, in death, in life beyond death, God is with us. We are not alone. Thanks be to God. Amen. From the Iona Community Worship Book. You never sleep, God. You are always awake, always willing the world and its people toward wholeness and healing. So tonight, will you comfort those who cannot sleep because of illness or worry or fear or for reasons they cannot understand? And tonight, will you be close to those who wait patiently or impatiently for a birth or death? Pray for pieces of their life's jigsaw to fit together. And God, listen to us as we share with you whatever joys or sorrows, discoveries or questions we will take with us into the night. Into your hands we commit ourselves, our souls, our bodies, our minds, our futures, for all things are best kept in your care. Amen.